It's not what you're probably going to think, that it's about your looks and making excuses about not being good looking enough or not tall enough or not the right ethnicity. It's not about money or about status. It's nothing related to that. It's not even about your game and being charismatic enough or that you're an introvert or that you don't know what to say. It's none of the things that you think it's going to be. It's something far more fundamental and underlying, foundational than any of those things. And once you understand what this belief is and why most modern men have fallen for this trap, you'll understand why your dating life probably sucks. I'll get right into it. I don't want to waste a bunch of time with a long, introductory monologue that goes nowhere and is all fluff. This is going to sound like it's not about dating, but it truly is. The belief is that discomfort is a bad thing. And here's why. When it comes to dating, any kind of progress is going to be uncomfortable. If you're someone that hasn't gotten a lot of dates, even if you're just asking a girl out at work, you're just asking Susie out at work, who you've been talking to, you don't even have the balls to cold approach, that's going to be uncomfortable. Using dating apps, messaging girls, actually meeting up with them, that's going to be uncomfortable. Approaching women, that's going to be uncomfortable. Making the first move, especially if you're like one of my recent 38-year-old virgin clients who lost their virginity. Well, guess what? You're 38. It's going to be uncomfortable to go for the kiss, right? To like get naked the first time because there's all this pressure built up. It's going to be uncomfortable. Anything in dating that is going to move you towards having more options, more abundance, more attractive women, higher quality women, not just in terms of looks, but having more options and better options is going to make you uncomfortable. And your brain is going to try and trick you into believing that when something is uncomfortable, it is bad for you. But comfort is the enemy. And when you can really believe that and associate in your mind, like download the program, that comfort is the enemy, discomfort is your best friend, not only can you change your dating life rapidly and completely, but you can change any area of your life completely. You can turn around anything that's going bad in your life. This is the master key, is understanding this counterintuitive concept that the exact things that your brain is going to try to magnetize you towards, draw you towards, things that are comfortable, are almost always what are going to move you further from your goals. And the things that make you uncomfortable are the things that are going to move you towards your goals. And you have to develop a seemingly perverse pleasure in doing things that are uncomfortable. And the more you build this muscle, the more unstoppable you become. Because at first, going out and approaching a girl will be very nerve-wracking. It'll be anxiety-provoking. It'll be stressful. Your ego's on the line. It's tough. But you do, let's say you did, hypothetically, 100 approaches in 1 week. By the time you do 100, now it's fun. Now it's easy. Now there's momentum. But you have to be willing to face the discomfort to get there. And most people never will. So here's the truth that you have to understand. Doing 5 approaches in a week is harder than doing 100. Really think about that. 100 is actually easier. Now, at first, you won't be able to do 100, right? No matter how hard you try, it's like if you're obese, you won't be able to get yourself to run a marathon. Chances are at the beginning, you can't. But the struggle to just do 5 per week consistently is going to be extremely difficult. You're not going to get very far. You're just not leaning into the curve enough. You're not leaning into resistance enough. You're not facing what's uncomfortable enough. But eventually, discomfort stops feeling like a bad thing. You start to become resilient. You start to develop grit. And eventually, it becomes something you weirdly look forward to. This is something people who go to the gym always say. I'm sure you've heard it, right? Like at first, I hated going to the gym, but then they get addicted to going to the gym. And the same thing is here. Same thing applies here with dating, is that at first, you're going to probably kind of hate it. But you have to, as Tony Horton from P90X, I hate it, but I love it. One of his many funny, weird quotes. But that is the mentality that you have to be aware of. You have to accept. And if you can't do that, you're not going to make progress because your brain will constantly trick you into going away from discomfort, from veering away, from avoiding it, from thinking it's a bad thing. But scientific research has, funnily enough, found that people who think stress is a good thing have better outcomes in every area of life. They live longer, they feel better, they accomplish more, they make more money, etc. And people who think stress is a bad thing struggle far more in every area of life. So you have to understand that game, sure, is it cool getting laid and getting a girlfriend? Yeah, and look, if you end up getting married to someone higher quality than you would have otherwise, right? You end up in a long-term relationship, or you build a harem that's better than you would have otherwise. Either way, that is going to be a huge benefit to your life, obviously. But really, game is about, as weird as it sounds, self-development. It's about facing your ego, facing your fear of rejection, getting judged, and accepting the fact that you'll be judged instead of hiding away from it. Taking off the mask and learning to be authentic, which is something that is very difficult for a lot of people. But that all comes from the willingness to embrace that it's going to be uncomfortable. And you want to see this like a muscle that you're building, right? If you look at scientific research by people like Roy Baumeister into willpower, willpower is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. And when you use it to the breaking point, it is exhausting. Like you will feel like you went to your brink just the same that you can with weightlifting or running or whatever. But if most people, like they're afraid of burning out, using too much energy, going too hard, pushing themselves too much when it comes to something like game, all right? They think, oh, I need to conserve my energy. You're not, no one is even going hard enough that they should even consider the idea that they're burning out. They're taking so little action that they're not even starting. The idea that they have to worry about conserving energy, they're not putting out enough energy. And so it's very important to understand that inertia is one of the fundamental principles of really success in anything. Momentum is another word, basically the same idea. And the more you push in to that discomfort, eventually, it's like revving a lawnmower almost, right? Eventually, it just wants to keep doing that on its own. But you have to accept fully that idea that you're going to have to do the things you don't want to do. And you could do this, just asking the girl out at work, I guess, but that's not repeatable. That's not sustainable. That's not reliable. It's not going to develop the skill, right? The skill is going to come from two things primarily. One, online dating, making sure first you actually get a good photo shoot so that you get matches. If you're not getting a pro photo shoot, I don't know what you're doing. Even if it's a $200 one, start somewhere. And then using the apps consistently and going on as many dates as you can consistently. That is going to force you to face your fears. It is going to force you to build momentum. It is going to force you to face discomfort. An online date maybe is not as anxiety-provoking as a cold approach, but it's still anxiety-provoking. It's still a way to improve. And then the other option, and the option everyone should do, back in the day we had rituals for going from a boy to a man, right? Different tribes, cultures, they had their own rituals. A lot of times it could be joining the military. Now you don't really have to do anything. You don't have to face anything ever. So you can replace that, having to kill a tiger or having to go to war with facing the fear of rejection. It's a lot easier. You're not being asked to face any other fear, right? Unless there's a draft again or something randomly. But you don't have to face any real fears growing up. And this can be an initiation ritual, right? That's a way. It's something that most men won't even do. They're too afraid to do it. Or it's about half. So I think 46% of men between 18 and 25 in the US, something like that, have never approached a girl in real life in their life. Obviously, we've all seen women we would want to, if not today, this week, this month. So clearly, they're unable to face that fear, right? So this is a much easier level to do that, and you get, nice benefits in terms of, being able to get laid and such. But that's the process. It's either online dating, ideally both, and going up to women and asking them out. I'm about to post tomorrow an infield where I intentionally act nervous and just still go for the number and try to get dates. And you'll see, even though it's not perfect, it still ends up doing okay. It still ends up working well enough. And, if you go up to girls and you compliment them and you're really nervous, some of them are going to reject you, of course. You're going to have some awkward interactions, of course. But you're also going to be surprised that even the rejections feel better usually than not having gone up, than not having tried. That feels better that you put yourself out there. It's like a monkey off your back, right? You faced a fear. So it actually feels really good even if it doesn't go well. And then secondly, regardless of the external result, secondly, I've got this light blaring that slowly makes it hard to focus. But secondly, you'll be surprised that you often do get a good result if you do it enough. In the first week, maybe you can only do one approach. The second week, you aim to build that up 3, 5, maybe 10. And then you build this up over time. I literally track it, which might sound nerdy, but just track each week on a spreadsheet how much you did and try to build it up over time so you're pushing yourself more and not just hitting a plateau. But you approach more and more girls, ask more and more girls out, and eventually you start to enjoy it. You start to get results. You start to get successes. But it's only because you are willing to go through a period of discomfort. You're willing to do something that the vast majority of men just won't do, right? That's why, 70% of Americans are at least overweight, if not obese, and it's something like 50 are full-on obese. That's why. I'll give an example. I don't want to be blaming everyone else or not looking at myself. For me, there was a period where I drank a lot. And what was the whole purpose of drinking? Avoiding discomfort. Because it would numb anxiety. It would numb stress. Give you a little escape, right? But then the anxiety and the stress actually get worse because you're avoiding them. And you actually become weaker because you're avoiding them. And so quitting drinking, giving up a crutch, is an act of facing discomfort. And then over time, everything in your life starts to get better and go on an upward spiral. You end up less anxious, which is the thing that you're avoiding it for. And this applies to pickup too, right? It might make you have social anxiety, whether it's diagnosed or just a hum of it. You feel uncomfortable. You feel approach anxiety. You're not willing to ask the girl out, or you're scared to be physical or whatever. Self-judging all the time. By facing that and going out and approaching women, that will actually go away. The underlying issue is being solved. And the more you try to avoid the underlying issue, the worse it gets. So that's really my main message for this video, is that comfort is the enemy. That is the mindset that keeps men single. I mean, there's all these other beliefs that go along with it, like telling yourself, oh, it's because I'm not good looking enough, so why even bother? Oh, I'm just not photogenic. I'm too introverted. I'm this. I'm whatever. If your thoughts and your mindsets are moving you towards comfort, they bring you towards something comfortable, don't believe them. Then they're probably lying to you to trick you, because our mind, The way evolution designed us, we avoid discomfort. We avoid stress because we think that we're facing life or death risks on a evolutionary, biological, subconscious level because the parts of your brain that create stress and discomfort, those parts are from hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years ago. And so the parts of your the part of your brain that is telling you that you need to avoid stress, it thinks stress is actually a big deal. It thinks stress is actually something, it's a tiger waiting in hiding to eat you. But in reality, the real modern discomforts and stressors are nothing. They're things that you actually need to learn to lean into. And so the more that you realize comfort is the enemy, that thoughts that bring you comfort or move you in a direction where you will get more comfort, where you will get the easy way out, are going to harm you more than they're going to help you, then you will finally change your life. Then you'll be free to get the results you want. But you have to accept that reality. So really think about it. For example, signing up to OnlyFans, signing up to Prawn, seeing hookers. These are all examples. Or just not going out at all and staying in and watching TV, playing video games, and playing a Marvel Rivals, a Gooner game where there's hot female characters that you can interact with or look at. That's like that's avoiding the problem. That's avoiding dating. It's avoiding socializing, avoiding social anxiety, rejection, etc. But it's going to make everything worse. Telling yourself that, well, I'm just not good looking enough, so I would just get rejected. Well, is your mind telling you something that makes it easier to not take action, to not face discomfort? Yes. So as a heuristic, which means, if you don't know, it's basically like a shortcut to thinking. So whenever your mind tells you something that means you shouldn't do something difficult, be skeptical. Assume it's probably not true, that it's probably your brain tricking you, and think, I should probably do the opposite. You should view discomfort as the true north in the compass of your life. That might sound like cheesy or grandiose, but it's true. That's how you should see it. And when you start doing that, taking action, facing rejection, doing things that lead to growth, that start to build momentum, become the only option. And your excuses start to fade away and seem ridiculous.